All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Race 2, Season 2 of La Copa. And tonight we're over in the USA for the Winston Salem Crit. We've got 25 laps for the Open League and 15 laps for the Silver League. So let's just quickly recap the standings then. In the Open League, Virtue Slow with a dominant performance on the road last week. They're ahead of No Pins R3R and SP Connect. Ratio in 4th, Team Ritamix in 5th, Dirty Downs Race Team in 6th, Wahula Co in 7th, and Peddlers in 8th. A strong performance by John Beams to take 2nd, but it shows that having numbers on the road really does make a difference. And then in the GC for the Silver Division, it was OTR E-Development Team who beat ECK Development and Team 3R Team Lou Racing combined team. Look how close it is at the top there. 567, 559 and 557. Really was battling for every single point there. SDW Southwood District Wheelers were in 4th, RGT France in 5th, React E-Cycling Team 6th, Team Grassy in 7th, and the Dirty RGT Beasts, who have greater numbers this week, in 8th place. So here we are then. And we're going to start off following hopefully both races here. You can see you've got the sensors up on the screen. All right, so we're going to come back to that. We're going to follow our Open League initially. Here we are then as we get a first overview of this course. So it's around 1.4 kilometers for the lap. You can see they're off to a fast start then. The pack mostly staying together at the moment. It's a little bit of an undulating course. You can see here already the climb 5% gradient. Riders trying to stick in that group. Make the most of the draft. Everyone's sort of sticking together at the moment then. The No Pins R3R team coming to the front of that field, trying to stretch things out on this climb up to the top, and then it swings to a right, and then from here it's pretty much downhill to the line. We will take another right-hander, and then there's a long sweeping right-hander back to the start-finish line. So it's going to be a fast finish. You can see downhill here, 1 to 3% gradients. As we come up to this right-hander, there's not going to be any auto braking through this right-hander. I don't think. It's quite an open bend. You can see there, it's not the sharp right-hander that we sometimes see in RGT. Still downhill here at 3.4% gradient, 56 kilometers per hour currently. As they approach the line, it does level off slightly, and then straight back up for the next lap then. So that gives you an overview of the single lap. And here we see Liam Baird of R3R pushing off the front. Putting in a bit of a spurt there, leaving a little bit of a few riders in difficulty at the back there. And you can see it's getting stretched out at the front. Couple riders now heading off the front of that pack. John Beams, strong rider. Gavin Ash following him. They're pushing up that hill so they can get a little bit of a gap over the chasing peloton on this downhill. It's going to be fast on this downhill section, so gaps will open up if you can get over the top nice and quickly. But that peloton coming in behind, potentially they're going to be trying to close this down. We've got 5 different teams. Well, Virtue Slow, 2 riders in this front group then. All right, let's just have a quick look, see if we can get our footage working from the silver race. I know Toto Le Koala is also streaming the silver race this evening. There we go, back up and running. Apologies for the delay in getting that going. These guys are slightly off the back of that front group, so let's get in contact with our leader of this front group. So it's Schoit of the ECKD team there. As I say, that Vigneault of the French team comes to the front, and we've got Wayne Schnitzling there, aka King, smile on, riding for Team 3R there, and Greg Barnett there in the SDW kit. He had a strong ride last week. So these riders, 15 laps for the Silver League and 25 laps for the Open League then. And looking at the average pace, we are going to be 55 minutes or so for the Open League. That Silver League, they're not going too much slower, to be fair to them, as they come up that hill. So it's a bit of a punishing lap, up the climb, and then you do get the recovery on this downhill then, where the speed really does pick up. And look how much it's been strung out in our open race there. That time up the lap, up the hill, you are really going to have to be watching yourself. You can see Team 3R there, well placed at the front, stretching things out. Riders are trying to get back on terms there, towards the rear of that group. As here we see Durand from SPC coming to the front. He's got Anthony Debray as well, just in behind him, also trying to get in there, try and make something happen on this silver team then. Sorry, open race. Now it looks like we've lost coverage again of our silver race there, so apologies for that. So now it's Boulanger for SPC on the front, not wearing official team colours, but he is making a move. And in the silver race, we will try and get our pictures back of that, but I can tell you that Greg Barnett of SDW is currently got a 25-metre lead off the front of the group, pushing up the hill then. Now it's Debray on the front for SPC, and Eagle Cops, who finished second last week, he comes across. And also now pushing that pace up as well, trying to create a bit of a gap for these two. That tactic was more likely to work last week, where we had the difficult Dirty Reaver course, and that was a longer race as well. But these two are going to find it hard to stay away from this group then in behind. This road is a lot faster, the group is much bigger, it's working together, it's not getting split up like we saw last week, not falling away into these smaller fragmented groups that we saw in the Dirty Reaver race. So I can imagine these two potentially won't stay away long. Unfortunately going to have to abandon the Silver League coverage. So apologies for that. I'm going to compete mare tonight. So this is going horrendously. You know, we did this as a bit of a hobby. Not being paid for this or anything. So yeah, unfortunately sometimes things do go a little bit wrong. I was a bit rushed today as well. I had a few work deadlines to deal with. As I mentioned, Toto Le Koala is also streaming the Silver race, so do go and check out his live stream, and that he should be able to bring you some coverage of that race. So we're going to be sticking with the open race then. You can see the Virtue Slow riders. They're in the white kits with the yellow, green and blue bands. That's officially the kit of Above and Beyond Cancer. They're currently leading our GC. We had 3 riders in the top 5 last week, with Andrew Gushek taking the win, 26 seconds ahead of Igor Kops. Zach Karner from R3R was in 3rd, Mia Kosmak from Virtue Slow in 4th, and John Beams in 5th. So we've still got a fairly decent sized bunch here sticking together. So it looks like we've got another attack off the front then. It's Loves on the front. Alex Plager, the organiser of La Copa, coming in to come across and now take the lead on this downhill section. The Loves responds. Stephen Brearley there from No Pins, R3R coming across. And once again, these riders who have attacked up that hill are caught by the peloton. At the moment, it's looking good for Virtue Slow and No Pins. They've both got good numbers here. As well as SPC, I can see 5 SPC jerseys here. Ratio with just Nick Greenhall and Alex Plager in this group. And Gavin Ash alongside one other rider there in the dirt jerseys. Pedersen looking like the sole ECKD rider in this front group. Around about 16, 17 riders in this front group then. They sweep around this short little loop, start to hit the bottom of the climb. See on the right hand side, it says 478 meters, 2.3%, but that includes a little bit at the start, a little bit at the end. It's a bit steeper in the middle here on a 6% gradient. As we see, Loves again there, getting up over 10 watts per kilo. Hana really following. Look at that, you've got 4 of the R3R guys in the top 5 there chasing down this attack, and it really has strung things out. That's one of the biggest attacks we've seen, and perhaps now if they do push on the R3R guys, they could create a bit of a split here. You can see Kops and Kosmak trying to recover. At the moment we've got 4 Virtue Slow and 4 R3R in the front 8 places here, and now Debray from SPC dragging that peloton back on terms, closing it back up again. So already we've done 10k of the 35k. It's going fast. So we're over a quarter of the race already done. So we've got Matt Looker, Anton Renou cheering on their respective teams. That's R3R the RGT France team. Simon Miller cheering on the SD Wasps in the Silver League. All right, so it comes back together. See a couple of riders there just hanging on at the back, trying to stay in touch of this group. And then we hit the hill again, and I'm sure we'll see some more explosive efforts. It really is an interval workout, this race. Let's drop back a little bit then. Looks like Pedersen now is blown this time round. There's Haugen from R3R. Little group here of Jones, Durand, John Beams. So some damage is being done. Riders are being spat out the back. Another couple of Danes here, Holst and Heiderdam. Then behind them, Rob Miller, Jurgen van Beers, M. Malus. Then a bit further back, we've got Mathiasen, Arrest, and Dan Ellis riding for dirt. So these riders will be picking up points for finishing. It is a team-based competition, so having riders picking up points for all positions can help you leapfrog other teams. We can see John Beams there. He got 5th place last week, but he's the only pedaler in the race. So other teams who might be finishing with riders in 19th, 20th, 21st, because they've got riders in multiple positions, it's allowing them to score more points and put themselves higher up in the table. So here we go again then. At the moment, looks like we've got a few riders managing to stick together. Now it's Gushek's turn. He's getting up above 10 watts per kilo. He's going to have an effort there at 800 watts per kilo. Little sustained effort here. You can see his power there up in the top left-hand corner. And he's opening up a gap. Now they're going to have to watch him, because we saw what happened last week with Gushek. He got off the front and he stayed away. He wasn't to be seen again. Now that was on the Dirty Reaver course. We know that that course doesn't lend itself well to a peloton. It doesn't lend itself well to a larger group or a faster group as well, working together. And that's because of the nature of the rolling resistance on the gravel, and the steep climbs as well. It really does break things up on that course. But here we see Gushek then already opening up a 100-meter lead over that chasing group. Here they come. You can see them in the background there, trying to close it down. But you look at these watts per kilo numbers on the left hand side. You can see Gushek there, 4.4 watts per kilo. Liam Baird, 3.9, just touching on 4 there. And for a time, that was comfortably under 4. So these riders behind, if they want to catch Gushek, they need to be matching and indeed putting out stronger numbers. And we know that Gushek has that ability to put out strong, consistent numbers. We can see there we go behind Carradine now. You can see some red numbers. Let's drop back and see these guys. They're looking to close that gap. They're seeing the danger as they respond. That is opening up some gaps behind. Virtue Slow are responding. Kojmak and Kops are going across with Hana and Carradine. And now Nick Greenall, Burton. Thought Greenall was going to try and get across as well, then get a Ratio Racing rider across to that group. But it's Toffoli from SPC. He's closed that gap, and now the balance of these numbers is swinging in the favour of those 5 riders chasing down Gushek. It's starting to fragment behind. They're coming past some lap riders as well. That's going to create a little bit of confusion. There we go. We've got a great overview of the course there. You can see the where the hill comes up on the right hand side, drops down here on the left hand side. We'll zoom in here because we're up amongst the trees. Makes it quite difficult to show you the way the groups are falling up. So now Hana up over 5 watts per kilo, trying to close that gap down. Doing it on the downhill section where potentially it feels a little bit easier. You can see there that how it's fragmented. Few groups have formed, a couple of riders off the back then of this group, 3 riders as we cross the start finish line, just trying to get back into contact. Yeah, Simon, if you search for Toto Le Koala, so French stream, they are covering the silver race this evening. Unfortunately, Simon I had some technical issues with the second device, which has not allowed me to be able to broadcast the silver race this evening, unfortunately. Yep, don't have an additional backup, so unfortunately no silver footage this evening. We are sticking with the open race. Gavin Ash there, the sole remaining dirt representative getting in this group. It's pretty much a battle at the moment between our top 3 teams in the GC. Virtue Slow, No Pins R3R, and SPC, the French-based team. They are packing out the numbers here. We've got 4 from No Pins R3R, 3 from SPC, 3 from Virtue Slow, 1 including Gushek is further up the road. Virtue Slow also have Polak in the group behind. There's that small little group behind, Polak and Bonar, and then Plager and Greenall from Ratio Racing in this group. Collison from SPC has been dropped from this group. He's there, look, 50 meters behind. If he can just find he is pushing. He's at 3.7. He's slowly closing that gap. It would be in his interest to jump onto these 4 riders and work as a group to try and gain some positions. But here, back at the front, Gushek then. That gap is steadied. We're on the climb. It's round about, well, it's coming down a little bit quick at the moment, down to 80 meters. That will open up again as they go down the downhill. What we'll do is we'll keep a note of that gap as they cross the start finish line at a consistent point each lap, and we'll be able to let you know if that gap is increasing or decreasing each lap. But currently, once again, it's Virtue Slow and Andrei Gushek who is making a move and trying to blow this. Well, he has blown the race apart. That's one thing he has done. It's whether he can stay away this week. That's going to be the question. We're coming up to the halfway point. You can see there was a bit of auto braking on that corner there. The power chart there in the top left, the numbers went red. You can see just a little bit of red on the power chart line there. So down this downhill section towards the start finish line where the riders are getting up over 50 kilometers an hour. And that gap as we cross the start finish line, then let's make a little mental note of that. 156 meters we'll call it for this lap. So now it'll be a case of keeping an eye on the group. You can see how quickly that does come down, and that's because of the relative speeds of the groups. So Gushek is now on an uphill section, his speed is slowed down. The group behind, they were still on the downhill section, allowing their speed to remain fairly high. It closes that gap, and now as we come around, it's reversed as Gushek is on the downhill, and that gap opens back up slightly as Gushek comes across the bridge, and it looks like a little gruppetto is forming just behind this peloton then. So unlike last week, Gushek is not getting away. His lead got up to several hundred meters. In the end, Igor Kops was able to close him down a little bit. And in the end, it was 26 seconds that was the winning margin. You can see here, they come over the top of the hill. It's 90 meters. It's certainly not a large gap. He's not getting out of sight. He comes round to lap Dan Ellis, and we are now over halfway in 24 minutes. So it is going to be a fast race. I said 55 minutes earlier. But these guys are absolutely motoring up that hill, making light work of that, and then enjoying some very nice speed on this downhill section. Around about 35 miles per hour. So as we approach the start-finish line again then, let's get a check on that distance. We'll see how well. Oh, it does 155 perhaps, maybe they've gained 1 meter back on him. And yeah, it's going to be very touch and go. He's at the moment not getting away, but Gushek is having to work on his own. Whereas the group behind, we've got 3 from SPC, got Gavin Ash, or 4 from SPC actually, because Boulanger is also in SPC, although he's wearing a different kit. And then there's, let's just drop back and double check, we've got 3 from No Pins R3R there, and also an ECKD rider. So certainly enough riders within this group who've got an interest in closing this down, and they've got options. As we see that Kana trying to open up a little bit of a gap here, not getting away. The R3R guys put their team to the front. They could perhaps close it, but it looks like it's Hana who has been nominated to try and close that gap down, and a strong effort over the top there, and then continuing that power on over the top and onto the start of the descent. It's opened up a 25-meter gap, and now the onus is going to be on SPC and ECKD and the dirt rider Gavin Ash to try and close this down, because Hana now, and also another Virtue Slow rider, Igor Kops, are trying to bridge across on their own. You can see there, Gushek going through the start-finish line just up ahead. And back to Liam Baird here, was around about 125 metres. We see a few riders going over the bridge. And Hana and Kops are caught then. And now it is SPC who take up the front of this group. And I think Gushek doesn't have long left out front at this point in time. See there that he's just up ahead, but that gap looks like it's coming down considerably. 65 meters. We've not seen that gap so close for a while. Under 50 meters. Now here they come, look, you can see the left hand side. Gushek, 5 watts per kilo. Everyone else is in the red. They've got him in his sights now. He's been a good carrot for them to try and chase. He's been dangling out there in front of them. But now looks like his time on the front is up. It'll be interesting to see if the teams just leave him there now at 30, 40 meters. There's no need for them just to catch just yet. You can see on the downhill then, it does open back up to 50 meters. At this point, Gushek is just going to be tiring himself out a little bit more. Yeah, sure, red numbers galore. And despite what I said, look, Gushek is staying on the front. We come round, complete another lap. It's going to be 57 meters. So in 2 laps, he's had 100 meters shaved off that lead, 2/3 of the lead. I'm surprised he doesn't just sit up at this point and get in the pack, take some recovery, try and have another go later on. We see some more red numbers then. These guys are constantly attacking each other. And now, whereas last time round we saw them, they were throwing those red numbers. And actually, they do now respond. Hana and Baird, they've seen enough. They want to reel in Gushek, leave nothing to chance. I imagine Gushek isn't bluffing. And it's Dubray who comes across then. And now takes the lead off of Gushek, who is passed by Eagle Cops, who counter-attacks. Comes across, latches onto Dubray's wheel. Dubray and Cops now. SPC and Virtue Slow. Perhaps looking to counter-attack. R3R put quite a lot of work in to close that previous gap. Cops had been able to sit in, knowing that he didn't need to do any work, because it was in his interest to sit in and let his teammate ride up the road and allow him to have that gap. But Hana, Carradine responding, coming across for R3R. So a little mix in at the front here then. As we come up the first little slope, that one only peaks at around 4.2% gradient. Cops then just allowing a couple of riders, I think, to come across. I think he sees that that gap is opening up back to the rest of the riders, and we've got a group of 5. They've opened up a 70-meter gap, but Gushek, wow, counter-attacking. Maybe he was bluffing. Getting back up to 8-9 watts per kilo then. Maybe he just felt that he wasn't able to sustain it for the remaining 20 kilometers. Felt that maybe if he just eased up for a few laps, he'd get a little bit of respite, a little bit of recovery. Or maybe he's setting up for his teammate Eagle Cops. Again, Cops now in that group just behind. There's 5 of them in there. The Foley has come across for SPC. But it allows Cops just to sit in. These team tactics come into the fore. This is what the Copa is all about, team tactics. You can see here, Gushek keeping that gap at 50 meters. And these laps are being ticked off very quickly. It's 25 laps. We're 15 laps in, 16 laps. 32 minutes have absolutely flown by with this race. As Gushek opens up that lead to 80 meters then. Let's just drop back. Here's that chasing pack of 5. Dubray and Toffoli for SPC, the French team. Hana and Baird for no pins, R3R. Don't forget that team are organising the No Pin Super League that takes place on Mondays. The first race was held yesterday, with courses taking place in Devon. That's my home county here in the UK, down in the southwest of the UK. It's interesting to see little local routes being used and roads that I've ridden on. Great to see. And then we've got Eagle Cops from Virtue Slow just sitting in. You can see he's not pushing the pace at all. He's not driving off the front. He can just sit there, enjoy the draft, save his legs. If Gushek starts to fade and these guys start to bridge across, then Cops will have fresher legs and be able to respond. But Gushek, this is an impressive second wind that we're seeing here. Second wind, not to be confused with second win. He's not yet at the line as we are just come inside. 10 kilometers to go then. Really is going to be a fast sprint, and we know that Gushek's a powerful rider. So on a downhill sprint, he might have a bit of an advantage over these lighter riders that are chasing. It's back up to 142 meters there, so it was 155 or so, fell down to 55, and now back up to 142. Right, let's cut back from these chasing 5. This is the remnants of that peloton then. Well, we got Gavin Ash, and then Kojmak, Berton, Liam Baird, and Boulanger. They're not that far behind. They've got them in their sights. They're working hard to try and catch that chase group of 5. They're only 50 meters ahead. I'm not sure it's in any of their interest to try and close that down at the moment. Obviously, Gavin Ash would prefer to be in that front group, slightly better chance of getting a higher position. But the other teams, they've got 2 riders each up the road. But perhaps SPC here, you can see it's Berton putting a bit of work on the front there. If they can get up there, then they're going to have better numbers. They'll have 4 riders in that group. You can see them really trying to get across. It's 40, 50 meters. They're trying. It's just not going down that quickly, and we're running out of laps. Another kilometer is ticked off. All right, let's just pop back another group then. So this group, these guys are 500 meters back, so they are not going to be getting back towards the front of the race. We've got Nick Greenall, Bonaire of No Pins, Polak of Virtue Slow, Alex Plager, Collison, and we've also got Stephen Brewerley of No Pins, and then an ECKD rider who has been lapped. And then behind these guys, we've got a big group here of riders looking to get back across. They're only 60 meters back from that group, so if they can close that gap, which is possible, they work together, then that could see them putting themselves in a position where they can start to score more points as well. If you are in a position currently 20th place and you're getting up to that next group, they could be getting up to 13th, 14th place. That's a good jump on the points scoring positions, so in their interest to push on. But further ahead then, up the road, here's Gushek, still with a nice lead of 90 meters. Doing well to maintain that lead. We thought he was done and dusted, but we were wrong. We were wrong to write him off. We did so at our peril. And is he going to make me eat my words? Well, I didn't say he was done. I didn't say he was out of the race. As he opens that gap back up as they come down the hill, he overtakes a couple of riders there. I think that's Jurgen van Beers from Rassio Racing, Rob Miller from Wahoo Le Col. But it was really interesting to see Kushek get caught, but then counter-attack and be able to respond. And be able to push on once again. So the groups behind, we were talking about how those two groups from that main peloton were pretty close together, as it's 147 meters at the moment for the lead for Kushek as they cross the start-finish line. Yeah, we thought those two groups behind possibly were going to come back together, but that gap has opened back up to 100 meters. It was down to 50 or 60 meters, but these guys are doing what they can to stay away. And looking at the chat that's happening in game on the screen, looks like R3R are trying to encourage the French riders to put in a bit more effort to try and close down Kushek. As we see there, look like Debray just easing up a little bit there to allow the R3R riders to come through and take the wind as they come up the hill. Again, they're getting into the red numbers. We've got 6.5 kilometers to go for this group. Kushek just 100 meters up the road. It seems to me like they're playing a dangerous game right now of letting him hang out there. Foley, Debray. Are they going to kick at some point? They've been letting R3R do the lion's share of the work, I will say. Cops, fair play. He's got no need to push on. He can happily sit in on this group. The other four know that. But the other four could easily close that gap by working together. It looks like we've got a bit of a stalemate, if I'm honest. I think the two teams of two riders are a little bit more concerned about pulling the other two across rather than catching Kushek, whose lead as we go around this time is 155 meters. So it's gone out a little bit. There's not many laps remaining now. 4 laps to go as we dip under the start-finish line. This has been an interesting crit course selection by the event organizer of La Copa, Alex Plager. It really has created some interesting racing. It's not stuck together as one big group. The hill really has, both the hills, you've got this little first hill on that small loop and then this bigger hill on the big loop. Really has created opportunities for stronger riders to get away. Opened up some opportunities for really interesting team tactics. There's lots of small groups on the field. You can see it the top right, all those little white dots, and at the bottom as well. It's pretty spread out. There's going to be a number of small groups sprinting for position at the finish. We come around the high point of the course. And I think these 5 riders, if they're not careful, they're going to be absolutely kicking themselves soon. Because they're going to find themselves too far back. Too far away from Kushek. And too little road remaining. Look at that gap now. Coming round to the start-finish line. 190 meters. put 40 metres in on that one lap alone. And we know if a group does work together, they can close gaps quickly. But look at on the left-hand side. Harner there, second position. He was at 3 watts per kilo. Gushek was up at 4. No wonder he's pulling away. It's a very fragmented chase. The team's not looking to work together. No sustained efforts. And that's partly just the way it works when you're racing online. It's quite hard to communicate and coordinate. Make it challenging to get riders to work together. But these are experienced riders. These are riders that have ridden on the platform for a long time. They know how it works. They know the dynamics. It'll be interesting at this point to see, will we get 2 riders, or even Cops might attack and try and get second place for himself here on the penultimate lap perhaps. At this point you can't see them getting Gushek back. They roll over the top. It looks like these guys are settling for the sprint for second and third place. Gonna put it on the line. No one's willing to commit for first. It's going to be a bit of a lottery for these places. But it looks like Virtue Slow and Andre Gushek could be doing the double here, could be getting 2 in 2. And considering he's been sitting in for a good 10 kilometers, Eagle Cops could be getting ready to launch the second place. Once that gap to Gushek goes out enough, it will give Cops the confidence that he won't catch him, won't upset his teammate. Cops is quite a good long range rider. I think I would back to Foley in a sprint out of these 5 riders, so I'm not sure Cops can rely on getting second place here if he lets it come down to a final sprint. Interesting to see if one of these riders now really does put the hammer down with 2.5 kilometers to go to try and secure themselves second place. Harner then looks like he might just be trying to do that. But Cops is coming across. The 2 French riders are being left behind at the moment. We did question their tactics. Foley there up at 12 watts per kilo, really trying to close it down. And despite that effort from Harner, it is pretty much sticking together. Riders are in the draft, able to just hold on over that penultimate climb. Harner's giving it a go though. He's trying to get up there, trying to make it count. Here we are then, right up in the trees with Gushek. As he comes around and is about to start the final lap, he's going to take the bow. He comes under the bridge, through the start finish line. Got no riders ahead of him. No riders to chase at this point. 1.3 kilometers to go. We'll come back to him as these riders lap one of the CKD riders who tags on for a moment. Hopefully they're not going to interfere. And we'll be watching to see which of these riders are going to attack. Surprised Cops hasn't gone just yet. Maybe just waiting for the foot of the longer climb. Don't think they're going to catch Gushek at this point. Take a very strong effort up this climb. You can see Gushek there up the road. Carradine, Cops, Debray, they do. Here we are then, red numbers again, Debray up at 12.8. Are any of them going to get a gap over the top here? Doesn't look like it, are they? Oh, Toffoli kicks. Is Toffoli going? Cops responding. They've opened up a bit of a gap. And they've both eased off. Cops has come past. And the riders behind are coming back into it as well. Inside the last 500. We're going to cut Gushek. He's going to take the win. It's only right that we watch him across the line. In behind, it's all looking pretty close still. And Kozmak has broken free of the following chase group. But Gushek takes the win. And is it going to be Cops? 13 watts per kilo there he's touched upon. And yes, Cops. Then Toffoli and then Hana. So it's a 1-2 for Gushek and Cops again. Then Toffoli, Hana, Debray, Carradine. Kozmak is going to take 7th. As he's broken away from this chase group. And then it's Boulanger, Berton, Gavin Ash just coming ahead of Liam Baird there at the end. Those two ECKD riders with a few more laps to go. And here's the next group on the road then. Stephen Brearley kicking out early. Or Eric Haugen, sorry. He's on the front here. Plager and Greenall trying to close him down. Loves as well. Ooh. So Haugen just picking off Plager and Greenall there. Groups all over the road here. Absolute chaos. Then we've got Durand of SPC, John Beams and C. Jones. We come down, 250 meters to go. Who's going to kick early? Are they going to fight for these minor positions? John Beams giving a wave to the camera there. And James goes for it. John just looks like he's happy to roll over the line. Durand taking 22nd, John 23rd. And these guys are still a lap and a half down. We've got Holst from ECKD. Harris, Van Bers. So there's the first few results from the Open League. Andrei Gushek, 49 minutes, 31 seconds. 4.37 watts per kilo average. With Igor Kops in second. Guillaume Toffoli coming across in third. Zach Carter in fourth. Anthony Debray in fifth. So it's a 1-2 for Virtue Slow. It's the third place for SPC and the fifth place. And then no pins, R3R in fourth and sixth. Then a little bit further back, Mia Kozmak in 7th for Virtue Slow, Thibaut Boulanger in 8th, Cyril Berton in 9th, then Gavin Ash of the Dirt Team in 10th. So I make that 4 SPC riders in the top 10, 3 Virtue Slow, 2 R3R, although they've got Liam Baird and Eric Haugen in 11th and 12th. Stephen Brearley in 16th. So they could be picking up a good number of points because they are filling out the roster each week. Same as ECKD, they weren't able really to compete at the front this week, those guys, but they are getting riders into the race. And that is allowing them to score a good number of points. We mentioned John Beams. Slightly off colour, I'd say, tonight, down in 23rd. So he has been putting in a lot of big efforts in a number of events. But he's the only peddler in this. Not sure where the rest of them are. A bit of chat there, you can see on the screen there, between Alex Plager and Nick Greenall. Alex doesn't design these courses, but he does have the pick of them. So he's not making it easy on himself or his teammates. He's not loaded it in his favour. So just a couple more riders coming around then. You can see just ahead of there is Jürgen van Beers. We'll follow these two to the line. This will round out the top 25 then. Rob Miller a little bit further back, wasn't just unable to hold on to these two guys. See Harris there, just really easing off. That gap's opening up. And Van Beers kicks, he sees that. Saying, I'm not going to let you come over the top of me. I'm going to attack. Take that 25th place. So to the end there, some smart riding from Jürgen van Beers of Ratio Racing. Well done to him. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Apologies again for the technical issues that we had earlier on. So just to explain, we have a desktop where I have the Open League running RGT, and I have a laptop running the Silver League. They're connected together via what's called a capture card, which has been pretty good the other times I've used it, but tonight seems to be very intermittent, which was causing the issues at the start of the show. So apologies for that. We'll try and get it sorted for next week's race. So next week's event, race number 3, is the Munsterland Giro course. It's a 40-kilometer race with 230 meters of climb. It actually starts with a bit of a climb, around about 150 meters. That's, again, pretty mean of Alex to start straight into a climb. That's going to break things up. And then there's a long descent and a couple of small climbs, including a climb within the last few kilometers. So both the Open and Silver League are doing the same race next week. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. As I say, we will try and bring you both divisions next week. Right guys, well, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's coverage. This was La Copa Season 2, race number 2. I've been Mike Lister. You've been watching some of the best riders on the platform. Andrew Kusiak taking the win. Igor Kops, his compatriot, taking 2nd place. And once again, Virtue Slow reigning supreme. Thanks a lot everyone for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Good night.